What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. We are back to the coffee content so the world can continue to revolve, unless you're a flat earther. And that, anyway, moving forward. So yes, a lot of the content you've been seeing lately on the channel is a little bit experimental, and not for the sake that I need to try new things. It's more so I'm actually just showing you the other things that I do. My life doesn't actually revolve around coffee. I do have other hobbies like making knives, and I've started filming it. It's very, very time consuming. Weeks and weeks and weeks of footage turned into about 45 minutes. That's as short as I could get that stuff. It's insanely time consuming, but I love it. And filming it does add a lot of the time to it, but that's fine. I'm going to experiment with my content. Speaking of which, I have another video coming up soon that is crazy. It's something very different, something I've never done, but it's something I've always wanted to try. So I bought the thing that I need to do. So if you're interested in something a little bit very left field of this channel, make sure you click that subscribe button and stay in tune for that one, because it's going to be fun regardless. Well, it should be, and we'll find out soon. But today's video is all about the Sanremo Operas that I have here behind me, sitting under a sheet because wood dust everywhere. And these machines have been sitting for quite some time, and as I did explain in part one of this series, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be replaced. We are reviving the 2 group, pulling parts from the 3 group, and then we'll move on to that project in the future, which is going to be something very different. It's going to be pretty cool. But let's pull the covers off these machines and see what the 2 group needs, and then see what I can pull from the 3 group to bring it back to life. Alright, so we've got the machines uncovered. I've taken that element back off the top there. That was just on there for a bit of a photo I took previously. It was definitely not bolted down, but obviously that's been removed for a reason. There was a leak on this guy, so the technician decided to pull parts from this one without my permission to attempt to repair this, made it worse, and ruined 2 machines. Good job, buddy. Now, while he was there, he decided that this pump was faulty, or one of these pumps was faulty. There's nothing wrong with it. So this pump needs to be reinstalled down there, just like that one. So that's the same thing there. These are insanely expensive. So that guy needs to go back down there, and then all of these lines can be put back in to where they need to go. It's a bit of a mess. It's not too bad, honestly. This guy can go back on there eventually. We'll work that out. I do have a spare one of these, and I don't know why. I'm not upset about it because God knows what's going to happen. And then I did also notice this fitting here. Now this isn't, there's no pressure on this, but it's just split. Now that's just the safety valve or overpressure valve sort of leak line. So I do need to fix that. Whether I use a threaded one again or not, you know, we'll work that out. It just needs to be a hose onto there, that's fine. And I'm sure I'm going to come across a couple of other little surprises, but we do have a full 3 group machine worth of parts here, and 2 of these pumps are brand new. So if one of these is stuffed from sitting for so long, we'll be fine. Pull pumps from here. These little counters are all brand new, so they actually click as it goes past, and there's different types, there's 2s and 4. But anyway, if you have questions about an Opera, feel free to ask me, because I think I know more about this than obviously the guy that tried to work on it. And all of these little check valves, new. There's heaps of new stuff on this, and I'm going to transfer all the good things from this to this. So we'll have a working 2 group. Let's do that. To give you guys an idea as to how complicated these machines are, that's the electricals that need to come through just for that to work and function. It's wild. It's insane. Now obviously there's some cables there for the heating element as well, which are the blue ones. Yes, but those strap lines, that's all electrical. It's insane. It's crazy, but it needs them, all of them. And a lot of that goes to the back of your button panel. So So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cables just that go into the back of that. So that's 2 separate parts. This is obviously your lights, and this is your button pad. These are very sensitive and very expensive. So we're going to attempt to install the pump. I do apologize if my head gets in the shot, but it's probably going to happen. Yeah, this is going to be so much fun. So they're very tight to work on. The good thing is I'm not super sensitive about this machine anymore. I really used to be super delicate with it, and then I realized it's just this big mechanical thing with things that break anyway. So it'll be okay. That pump pumps into there. All right, wish me luck. You get out of the way. You get out of the way. And you get out of the way. So the pump is roughly where it needs to be. It's got little hangers there, so it's not too bad. I'm not going to tighten them yet because, well, I think that's fairly obvious. I do understand why techs don't enjoy working on these or refuse to. They are much more complicated than other machines, but I like a challenge. I am a bit challenged. Progress, you know, not a lot of progress, but progress nonetheless. So we're already missing a fitting there, which I'll need to take from one of the other machines, one of the other pumps, I'm sorry. So there's a little fitting for that on the bottom. I think it's like a overflow or return or something along those lines for the pump. So I need to take one of those from there. That's fine. So that's one part. I do need to sort out something for that replacement. The 3 group is newer, so some of the parts have been revised. So we might need to get some new parts for this or try to retrofit some stuff. That's okay. I'll make that work. So there are a couple of different types of these check counters. So this is a little counter. So water makes this spin, and then you've got the 2 little magnets or metal bits on there. So every time they spin, they're counting. In this machine, there's a couple of settings. You can do 2 clicks or 4 clicks that I'm aware of. So if I'm going to replace these, I need to make sure that they're either the same as each other, whether this is a 2 and this is a 2. You can't have a 2 and a 4, if that makes sense. So I can't remember what's on the 3 group, but if it's not the same as that one, I need to replace both of them with the same. I hope that makes sense. And I'm very glad I checked. As you can see, there are 4 little dots in these ones. So that's what I was talking about. So you've got a 4 or a 2 clicks, and that is done in the very elaborate settings through that little screen. This is not done through the app. That's very much a service tech setting, which is very difficult to get into, but not impossible. So if I replace that one with this, I need to use one of the other ones as well, because I know that these are all the same. So I'm going to pull that one and put those 2 into the 2 group. They've got new check valves on them as well, so it's going to it makes sense. Let's just do both of those. So we have made some pretty solid progress. I haven't really been on this too long. I'm doing pretty good. Fortunately, there are a lot of crossover parts between the 3 group and the 2 group. So that's the old safety valve. That's where that plastic, very much broken fitting was sitting. This is the new version that had already been installed on the 3 group, which has got the steel version of it, and that's a newer safety valve as well. So that's going to go on there. That's a win. It's the same thread, etc. So that's fantastic. Now, fortunately, this is an issue that I have had with this machine quite a few times, and not out of any fault of the machine, purely the technician that I had working on my machine didn't do a very good job. And I actually end up taking a couple of spares of these because this is where the main water leak was happening. So this is the top of the element for the group head, and he was installing these incorrectly and they're actually breaking. I've since learnt what you need to do to make sure you install them properly, and it's not tighten them. That is not the answer. It's just use the correct materials. There is a little bit of a bonding something to put in there so you don't have to tighten it. Solves the problem. So I did discover a couple of things along the way as well. So this is the older check counter, which only has the 2 magnets inside. This is the new version, which has the 4 magnets. So that is a setting you need to set in the machine. And the only reason I know this is when I received the machine back working, it was still on the 2 magnet setting with the 4 magnet counter in there. So it was actually only giving me half the amount of water I was telling it to, because it was counting the wrong amount. I hope that makes sense. And another thing is, On the 3 group, we'd installed these little check valves, which means we need to replace the line that goes to them as well because it's a different length. I hope that makes sense. So all new stuff going on to the 2 group. Yeah, that's what we're doing. And on the pump, there is a little check valve for, I believe, is just a drain or like a relief valve. So we're going to install that one on the bottom of the pump, and that's where that clear line you may have seen earlier goes to. And then that does just go to the drain once, I believe, you stop pulling the shot. It doesn't matter, it's going there, it's new, win. So this is probably the biggest issue I've found so far. That is one of the lines that goes to the pump, I think. It doesn't matter, I'm pretty sure it's the pump. It's actually broken off, I hope you can see that. So it's actually broken off and it needs to be rebrazed. Now, I have never done that. I'm willing to give it a go, but this isn't my machine. So I think the right thing to do would be get someone who knows what they're doing to do this, a plumber. I've got mates in the industry that can probably come and sort this out for me, or I'll call them and they'll tell me how to do it. Either way, we need to fix that because it's not a threaded fit, it's actually in there brazed. Other than that, we're looking pretty good. This machine should be back together today with all the parts minus this brazed, but that can definitely be done later. There's nothing really in the way of it getting to or getting access to it once the machine is complete. So I'm feeling pretty good about this. There are still a couple of parts underneath the group heads that I need to do as well. So there are the exhausts, I guess you would call it. So on your typical E61 machine, for example, when you finish your shot, it dumps the water. That's the same thing on this, but it's very advanced. And I don't know why it needs to be so advanced, but it is. So we need to replace those as well. This has got 3 new ones on it as well. We're gonna put them on there, and I think we're good. Okay, so we've got the majority of the 2 group heads back together. I did pull the other one apart just to double check a few things while I was there and kind of co-reference to make sure that they were orientated the same. I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of the wiring inside these machines are the same color. So you'll have 2 plugs next to each other that have the same color wire going to them. So unless you took photos and it wasn't 3 years ago, you're just never going to remember which way the wires go. So it can be a bit tricky, so always try to reference another one if you're working on these. I know not everyone's kind of got 2 operas next to each other, but it's definitely helped a couple of times. Now, I've got the Allen key sitting there ready to go. So the next thing to do is there's these exhausts under here. They were both broken or taken from this one. I don't know why they're not on it. Actually, it is on one of them. So I need to replace on the other one. I really hope I don't need to take the group head back off to do that. I'd realized afterwards that I think I might have to pull it off. The only way to find out is to try to take it off this one without removing the group head and see how we go. Wish me luck. I feel like I'm a teenager working on cars in my driveway again. Oof. Oh, there is another part I need to steal while I'm here. The little collar down here, for some reason on that one it's all like broken and I don't know, looks crappy, so I'll replace that. If you're watching this video this far along, you'll know what's happening in the future because I'll kind of tell you, well, I'm not going to tell you what exactly. I'm going to tell you that it's not going to be a coffee machine. I'm going to use it for something else coffee related. Use your imagination, I'm sure you can work it out, but I think it's going to be pretty cool. And I know I'm definitely going to cop some hate for it once I kind of tell everyone what it is, but at the end of the day, it's my machine. I'll do what I want with it. Like I said in the last video, if you want to pay for the thing to be resurrected, and then buy the machine off me, that's fine. But I'd rather cut my losses on it, do something pretty cool, make some interesting content, and have some fun with it. Okay, so some good news is I got this off, and that's the solenoid hanging. Those two little O-rings, don't lose them. They're very expensive, I promise. Don't lose them. So that's where the solenoid joined to, and this is where the bad news comes in. That lives up behind there, and I don't know if I can get to the bolts. We're about to find out. If we can't, I need to pull the whole group head back off. I need to take that one off to get it off, and then that one off to put it on. Mad. So long story short, to remove this, you either need to have the entire group head off the machine or pull the pump out. Now, it is slightly easier to pull the pump out than to pull the entire group head off. So that's what I've done, and that's what I'll do on the other one. It's so tiring. This is a lot of work. Deserves a like. Can you do that at minimum? That'd be great. Let's keep going. All right, you guys can join me on this joyous occasion of working upside down. I'm an old man. This is not enjoyable. I feel like I probably should have just pulled the group head back off. Probably regret it a little bit less tomorrow. Now, nobody else wants to do it, so I'll do it. Because I'm an idiot. I do understand why techs don't like to work on these machines, but don't you want to learn? Don't you want to like play with these incredible revelations of technology? This machine was so far ahead of its time. People are still using Wagers. Now, no offense to Wager, but you know. I already have worked out how I could have done that easier, was to fit those 4 bolts there, those little ones I just did, to the block, then install it all together. But now I know, and it's okay. We're learning together, guys. And right now, if you're watching this, you know more about a Sanremo Opera than your average machine tech. Because they refuse to work on them. Because they're scared. Because these days, mechanics are just parts fitters. Pew, pew. Shots fired. Time to put the pump back on, and then we can install the plastics, and then, I still need to do a solenoid on this side. Come on, man. That's gonna do it for me today. I'll see you guys the next time I get a chance to come in here. And once again, by the magic of the internet, I'll see you now. Alright, it's been a few days since we've worked on these machines, and last thing we're up to is we need to replace one more exhaust on the Opera 2 group and the new solenoid. Now, I've already started pulling a few parts off the 3 group just to save time. You guys don't need to see that stuff, and realize that there is actually 2 different types. So I'm assuming that this is an older one because it'll be more expensive to produce. That's a brass fitting with very different O-rings underneath, which is a good thing because these O-rings are easier to get than the weird green things for this one. Now, it means there is also different bolt sizes, so there are longer bolts for the thicker base. So if you have some form of OCD like I do, and you want them all to match, because what will happen if you use one of each, you'll find they're going to be different lengths, and then the exhaust on this one will sit lower, and if you pay attention to that stuff, it's definitely going to annoy you. So I'm going to change them all over to this one, because I've only got one of this type. I'm assuming it's just an old one that hasn't been replaced on the 3 group. Put all with the shorter bolts. It's all going to be great, and keep moving. We're pretty close to this machine being complete. There's obviously that one thing we need to braze that line on. Whether I can do it or might get someone else to do it, I'm not too sure just yet. But the next time you see that machine, it will be at the roastery being fired up, hopefully, if everything goes to plan. And the reason I'm able to pull all of these off the 3 group and not worry about it is the Opera 3 group will not be used as a coffee machine ever again that I'm aware of, or under my ownership at least. If someone does buy this thing and then decides to spend the money on it, that's great. But we are going to turn it into something completely different, still very practical and still going to be able to be used by coffee lovers, and I'm going to tell you what it is at the end of this video. So sit tight, there's more important things to worry about right now, but by the end of this video you're going to know what the plans are for the Opera 3 group. Alright, the 2 group is looking good. We've even got the drip tray on, and I'm going to show you why I had to put that on. I had to get a little bit creative here to fix someone's ingenuity, let's say. So if you have a look behind the drip tray here, there's this little collar that is not meant to be in 2 pieces and glued together. Somebody got very creative and decided that because that was broken, that they should put some glue on this and hold it all together, which made it impossible to get out. I had to get very creative and pull things apart and swap them around, but that is installed. And the reason I had to install the drip tray is because this is also part of how high you set the drip tray. So there's a little grub screw on the back, roughly in this area, and you set the height that you want the tray, tighten that, all good to go. Alright, the insides of the Opera 2 group are all together, all the new stuff, it's all good to go. One thing I need to do is just connect these hoses together. This hose is meant to go under here and connect down there, but the orientation just isn't letting me do that. That's fine. I'll just get a bit of hose, a couple of clamps, that'll be perfect. Then that part is done. So inside the machine is pretty much finished. Now we just need to put the exhausts on the bottom of the solenoids here, put these covers on and give it a really good clean up, and then the machine is ready to go to the roastery. Until the sun. Alright, group head back covers are on, and I'm going to do one more thing from the 3 group. This I'm not happy with, it just doesn't sit perfect, and the main issue is because this thread is stripped on the plastic, but I have a perfectly good one right there. I'm going to take that one off, pop it on here. Makes way more sense because that does help with a little bit of sealing, and if water gets in there, that's not good. So pull that guy off. I can always just glue that guy onto this one because it's only going to be for display. Let's do that. Until the sun comes up. Until the sun comes up. Until the sun comes up. So I've been cleaning and polishing and all that stuff for quite some time now, and there is still a couple of little things I want to touch up when it's up at bench height. It's going to be a lot easier. Now the only parts that are here are for the 3 group, which we will talk about in just a moment, but first have a look at this. Alright guys, so as you can see, the 2 group is all back together and looking pretty damn good in my opinion. This machine is very special to me as, like I said previously, this was the original machine that was in the brew lab when I bought the place. It was of a friend of mine and I wanted to keep this machine, and there's plenty of reasons for that, which we're going to talk about when we have the machine plumbed in at some stage. And we are going to try to get this into the roastery so that I can show you some content on this thing with fresh coffee and do a whole bunch of experiments, because this machine will allow us to do those things. But like I said, we will leave that for a video at another time. Now it's time to tell you guys my plans for the dirty old 3 group that will not be a coffee machine. Alright guys, this is the 3 group Opera, and as you can see, it's not exactly a complete machine. We've stolen quite a few parts from this to get the 2 group schmick. which was all part of the plan. It's perfectly fine. And as I've mentioned a couple of times, this is not going to be used as a coffee machine anymore, but it will be enjoyed by coffee drinkers in a location that I haven't worked out yet. But I am going to turn this very expensive coffee machine into the world's most expensive coffee table. That's right, I'm going to turn it into a coffee table, and there's plenty of reasons for it. I know a lot of people are going to question, it's just so expensive, why would you bother? That's the exact point. It's too expensive. I cannot afford to turn this into a machine for absolutely no purpose. I don't have a reason to have a 3-group opera. I don't have a cafe anymore, and I can keep this for parts in the spare time while we've got this as well. So if I need parts from it, we can use parts, because obviously we don't need them all. I want as much as possible in the top, because clearly we're going to leave a clear glass top, and I've got a few funky ideas. These probably won't stay black. I don't know. I'll come up with some crazy ideas and see what we can turn it into. But yes, that's what we're doing. That won't be the next video. I've got a couple of other videos coming before that. This will be a bit of a project. I've got some friends involved, and we're going to do some pretty cool things. So if you've got any ideas, pop them down below. Any crazy things. I'm going to try to light things up as well, because these do light up red, the buttons as well. So I'm going to attempt to do that. I don't know how yet, but that's all part of the fun. It's never been done, so turning this into a coffee table is what I'm going to do. You can try to talk me out of it, feel free, but I want to hear your ideas. I don't want to hear you telling me not to do it. So pop some comments below, let me know what you think. Let me know how crazy I am. And if you need some parts for an opera, let me know, because I've got plenty. That's going to do it for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure you click that subscribe button below. It'd be really, really appreciated. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.